Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and do celebrity legal news. Also, join me for my pop culture chats. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. My Venmo and Cash App is below. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear everything and anything that's going on in my room, my office, because I've been having some audio issues. And if you are here, please make sure that you let me know that you hear me. I would appreciate it because I did a whole live and I don't think anybody heard me. But you should hear me now because I'm streaming from my MacBook. I'm using my MacBook's not camera, but audio, and just a whole lot of y'all. I promise. Let me just make sure everything is coming out where it's supposed to. So you're going to hear my mouse click. You're going to hear everything because I don't know. I've restarted my computer. I just don't know why it is having issues with my other things. So I may have to just take everything out and plug it back again. But I reset my computer. And so we're going to go. So earlier today, when I thought everybody was hearing and listening to me, we were talking about Kyren Lacey and the bombshell of information that his lawyer came out a few days ago talking about what happened. So I had that interview. We're going to go over it. We're also going to go over what the Louisiana State Police went over. So I initially, when I went over it today, that was the first time I saw it. So I've already seen the video. So I will just give my commentary in regards to it. And we'll go on. But I am going to show both of these videos. I'm trying to keep this live at about 2 hours. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Now, this is the video. Sorry about that. My phone is going to ring and all this other stuff. So we're going to watch. We're going to watch the video from the attorney. This was about 5 days ago. And then we're going to watch the video from the Louisiana State Police. Okay. Now, this video that I am sharing is Kyren Lacey update, HTV Martin Foles, the attorney Matt Ory. It is here on YouTube. And so let me also put this up. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. All right, let's add this to the stage. All right, let's play.
This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Let's kind of pause through there.
In a wreck that took place, which took the life of a very popular man, Mr. Hall, and it was well documented, went national. It was talked about, it was written about, it was blogged about, it was all over the nation. So I did tell Mr. Ory back then, and I also tell everyone involved in this, whether you're an attorney or whether you're part of the investigation, you're always welcome to tell your story. on HTV. So I told Mr. Ori, if you have anything to add to the story at any point, please give me a holler and we'll get you on. So joining me now is Matt Ori, attorney, and good to see you, Matt. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you, Martin. Thank you for having me.
Did you compile anything new?
I've got everything. I've got every piece of evidence I have viewed. I've examined every piece of evidence, which includes all surveillance, all body cam footage, and most importantly, the investigative report that was generated and manufactured by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, according to the data that they obtained.
In that report, which is independent of you, when I was going through it and looking at some of these things in it, I think you'll probably go over where they were, because I see you brought a board where you're going to depict where all of them were during the incident, and you have all that information to sort of explain where everyone was at, how fast they were going, what they would do.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up where it needs to, because they're Louisianians, and so sometimes they speak a little slower.
All of that.
I do. I've got it all here.
Okay. So most of this reports, or do you have actual video?
At the entirety of the district attorney's findings, their findings after their own investigation. That's what we're here today to present. We're going to compare and contrast those findings with the findings of the state police, because there's a ton of confusion. People seem to believe that somehow he hit someone in this accident, or possibly even shot through two cars and there was this explosion behind him. I've heard every version possible, but we can show you the version right now.
Okay. Sort of describe the video for our audience, what you've seen in the video.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Battery. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacey come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacey is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacey did, in fact, pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacey passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is.
Now, remember, this is the version that's coming from Matt Ori, who is the attorney for Kyren Lacey.
Not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacey getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation, it shows that he was back in his correct lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Before this incident occurred, he was back in his lane.
What does the legal law state about where you should be behind? Or I want to say I thought it was 100 feet. Is that correct?
It is correct. Take out the fact here that it's a no passing zone. If it weren't at this time, it's 100 feet. What we know now is he was 3 times legally what he needed to be back in his lane of traffic.
Where was everybody involved in this? And I see you brought something that you could visibly show everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I stated, if we're looking at this, and of course this isn't to scale, and I can't draw, but what you see here is vehicle 3. That is Mr. Hall's vehicle. This is another vehicle between Mr. Lacey and Mr. Hall.
Okay.
This is the gold truck that's referenced in the report. This is heading north. So this is the lead vehicle heading north. And the vehicle that actually collided with Mr. Hall's vehicle, that would be vehicle 2. All right. So through the course of this, now we start investigating and dissecting everything we possibly can. When we do that, we start with vehicle 2, right? So what do I know now about vehicle 2? Vehicle 2 was tailgating, all right? According to the data, again, of the district attorney's office, not me, according to their data, tailgating at 49.6 miles an hour, 0.5 seconds behind the gold truck, 1.5 seconds before the crash. So again, if that didn't make sense, she is following 0.5 seconds behind this vehicle, 0.5 seconds behind that vehicle, 1.5 seconds before the crash at over 49 miles an hour. 0.5. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket. All right.
Interesting, because they must have pulled data from these cars and stuff like that, or is this some kind of a mathematical from the video? They kind of timed it and did math to figure out where people were and how interesting.
You know, for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. They even told her it's in your personal belongings. Fast forward. Another trooper comes and is looking for that particular ticket, and that ticket, they told her, something may happen to the ticket, don't worry about it. Sure enough, something happened to that ticket down the road, right? The ticket now needs to fit a better narrative, and that ticket now says, crossing left of center. Why? Why? The black box is telling me. The data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the accident. That's not tailgating? Now, what we're looking at, this isn't speculation. Through this, we hear there's story after story. Actually, vehicle 2 story got bigger and bigger and bigger until we now have their data, right? So when we get our hands on it, I'm looking at the data from that particular vehicle. That data in that vehicle shows me 5 seconds previous to this crash. 5. I'm looking at it, and you're going to show it. 5 seconds previous to this crash, she maintained a speed of 49.6 miles an hour, never activating the EBS system until 0.5 seconds before the crash. Why is that important? Because if your story, which we'll get into, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you had all this time to see the gold truck, in her words, stomp on their brakes, slam on their brakes, come to a stop, veer off the road. I see another vehicle approaching. I see the Charger approaching. Well, my question to you now becomes, how did you see that vehicle approaching, or him stop, or him slam on his brakes, yet your data says you never touched your brake prior to 0.5 seconds before that crash? I'm looking right now. So are you at the last 5 seconds, according to her. Her car's black box, not mine, not mine.
Oh, they had her car's data. Oh, they investigated. So they're talking about her, because, you know, newer cars now have computers and that record all your different things. And so they're saying that she maintained a speed of almost 50 miles per hour up until 5.5 seconds before she put on her brakes, and then the accident happened. And I'm curious as to what the difference is in regards to driving left of center, that ticket, versus driving behind you too close. But let's continue.
My expert, that's her car. So if you're going to tell me a 5 to 10 second elaborate story, it needs to make sense. And when you have the data, not only doesn't it add up, it's not possible. Notice on there, Martin, it says 75 degrees, right? You turn 75 degrees to the left all of a sudden. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket. All right. You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. Data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the accident. That's not tailgating? That's not following too close? Of course it is. Ticket was taken away.
I'm looking at the data, and I'm learning some new things here.
And I would say I can believe that. I mean, because the younger someone is, the more risk they take about being close behind someone, because, you know, their ability to react is probably quicker than someone that's older. So I can believe that you were following too close behind the gold car. I can believe that. And plus, he's reading the data from her black box is what they're going to call it. So let's continue.
So the 75, the steering input at 75 to the left.
That's correct.
Any indicate that, I would guess 75 on a scale of 100. That's a pretty hard turn to the left.
It's a very hard turn to the left. The gold truck, the lead vehicle in oncoming traffic, who, by the way, is probably one of the two most important witnesses in this entire case. We know now that 2.99 seconds prior to him pulling off the road, he was traveling 28 miles an hour. 28 miles an hour. Now, you're going to hear his statement in a little while, and it's going to all make sense. But let's be very clear right now for the intent and purposes of what we're doing. There are two vehicles that we're talking about right now that are traveling north. The second vehicle in oncoming traffic, which is vehicle 2, their data says she is tailgating. She is 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour. 1.5 seconds before the crash. And you saw her data, 50.3 to 49.6.
Yeah, so she stayed at 49.6 until 0.5 seconds, and then...
There's a variation of less than a mile per hour.
Yeah.
It's 0.7, I believe.
Right. Did she give any police report or anything?
Oh, absolutely. So...
Let's talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
we will. This particular individual, and for purposes of this report, I'd like you more, and this is page 9, if you could follow along to make sure I'm not misquoting a single thing.
All right.
All right, I'm looking at the investigative report of the district attorney's office. And then here you can see this is their investigator looking at vehicle 2 statements, and now he's analyzing. He says, upon reviewing the body cam video of the trooper from the scene, the following statement was made by, we'll call her vehicle 2, right? I just know the truck was stomping on brakes. The other was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting him, by coming around. When the trooper asked how fast she was going, she replied the speed limit. He next says, I reviewed the recorded interview and the written statement from vehicle 2 while she was in the hospital on January 3rd, 2025. Below is a synopsis of that interview. And at very first it says, all I can see is that a car is coming this way and the car in front of me. Right before the crash. I'm looking at the pickup truck in front of me. That's all they see for the moment. I'm eating my Funyuns. I got in the middle of my lap and I'm driving. I'm listening to my music. All of a sudden, I see the car get in the other person's lane. The truck, in quote, steps on his brakes. First, so it slows down, but then he does it again, and this time it's really hard. That's when you can see on the other side, the car is trying to get back over. But before you can get over, the truck stops in the middle, like on the brakes, hard. There's another car that runs damn near into the pole. It's either I run into him or I try to get out the way, so I'm trying to get to the dollar store parking lot. Then the other car just comes and slams into me. The trooper asked vehicle 2, whenever you're looking forward, or the cars in front of you, they swerve off to the right before you make your left, or you're looking at a green Charger coming at you. Or, end of quotes. Vehicle 2 responded with, the green Charger came, and then the car behind me, behind them, the truck, the van, whatever. The trooper does not ask any further follow-up questions to get a better understanding of what she was saying for this answer. Now remember, I'm reading what the investigator's saying. When vehicle 2 states the truck stops in the middle of the road like on the brakes hard, this statement indicates that the gold truck stopped in the middle of the lane and not, in quotes, swerving off to the right. This would also show that vehicle 2 would have steered to the left to avoid contact with the gold truck and not Kyren Lacey. During this interview with the trooper, vehicle 2 made several statements that do not match the submitted report or written statement. Instead of questioning vehicle 2 for more details, the trooper attempted to recap what she was saying, which seems to contradict her statements. While doing this, the trooper is the first to talk about the gold truck swerving off to the right. Then when it came to obtaining the written statement, the trooper tells vehicle 2 what to document on the statement as she is writing.
I have 2 questions here.
Okay. Let's review that because I wanted to make sure that he finished what he was saying so I could get all the context. So he's saying that when she gave her report, this is the person in vehicle 2. This is the person that actually ran into the Kia that killed the former Marine. She's saying that while she was driving, she was listening to her music, eating her Funyuns, and riding down the road. She said she noticed that the vehicle in front of her kept putting on his brakes. She still kept going. And then she said he swerved off the road. She saw the oncoming traffic. She said she was trying to swerve into the Dollar Tree parking lot. So she was going to go across northbound traffic to go across to get into the Dollar Tree parking lot. But as we will see in the video, there was an option for you to go right.
One, I'd like to know more about the statement that she made to the trooper. The other one would be, do we have any data on the gold truck?
2.99 seconds before the gold truck eases off to the road, eases off of the road.
Right.
He's traveling at 28 miles an hour.
Right.
That all is in this report.
Yeah, that's my question.
You watch someone slam on their brakes. You watch them stop. You watched a car chart coming at you in your lane of traffic, but you never thought to just tap the brakes? Really? No. Data is accurate. The black box is accurate. that says that you never touch your brakes. You never touch your brakes the last 5 seconds until 0.5 seconds before the impact. That's their data. It's not mine.
Proceed. What did you find out after that?
So what I was curious about here, most importantly to me, in terms of the oncoming traffic, right? So I'm looking at that gold truck. I want to know what they said, when they said it, what were the circumstances, how did this come about? And this is where it really starts tying together, right? The gold truck, they end up getting a statement from this individual. There's two of them. The very first one, what I noticed on the body cam was that the conversation was going on for 4 minutes and approximately 30 seconds prior to the body cam being activated. And of course, when the body cam's activated, I don't know what you said those previous 4.5 minutes, they end up at this individual's house to obtain a statement. I want to play right now how that statement started.
And so before we go there, because again, I have watched I've seen the video from the Louisiana State Patrol. When the accident happened, the gold truck gave his name and gave his number, and he went on about his business. So he was not there at the time of the accident to give his statement. They had to go to his home to give his statement.
Okay, let's roll that in.
Sir. So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, your address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, maybe my wife gonna fill out right.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wouldn't even gone for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wouldn't even gone for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the gold truck.
This is the gold truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is gold truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him. And where it says signed, it's not signed. It's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement?
So it sounds like he is questioning who wrote the statement. Because if we go back, and I will go back because I want to make sure that I heard that correctly. The guy who drove the gold truck said, number one, I'm going to have to get my wife to fill this out. And he says, and I wasn't even going that fast. I didn't do any skid marks. The woman behind me caused that wreck because she almost hit me. And then she swerved to keep from hitting me. That's what I heard. Let's go back really quick. Let's kind of start back where the trooper starts coming here. This will be a good place to start.
All right, sir. So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information. Like,
Let me pause it. Let me put it on the actual speed because, you know, we've got it at 1.25. Let's put it on normal so we can actually hear
your name and address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, you know, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. You know that you just.
All right, maybe my wife gonna figure out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And that's not in it.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him. And where it says signed, it's not signed. It's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. I got a problem with that, a big one. What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused that accident, but I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the Gold Truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't even skid mark. So what emergency braking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? That is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
Just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, She didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you,
Right,
correct? And that's why you had to
Head
slam
on
on your
with
brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. Okay.
What does refused mean? He refused to sign it? If he refused to sign it, how could they use that as a statement? I'm confused about the refused.
By the way, the body cam wasn't on for this statement. It was turned off before obtaining this statement. And this is what we get back in a file. This. Remember, Kyren passed. I'll just put X's. This is where Kyren passed, right? He comes here, he passes. He gets back in his lane. Don't you know that one of these witnesses that's in this package actually says in his statement that the Charger passed through the vehicle of Mr. Hall and the gold truck and vehicle 2, and then they collided. I can't make this up. This is what people just don't get to see. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying this intentional. I'm saying people commit to a story and they don't back down. You saw it here, but I'm telling you, you guys saw a video. You just saw a statement where somebody tells them what to say. They tell them that's not what happened. They still give me the statement. And now I got another individual who we won't harp into here because it's so uncredible, right? That one individual, one of the 4 individuals here, they say that they were going 30 to 35 miles an hour when Kyren passed him. He did. There's no disputing that. No one ever did, but he was back in his lane of travel. 92.3 yards back in. 72.6 at the time of impact. When they collide, he is 72.6. Before they collide, he is almost a football field away back in his lane. That's not disputed. What you can see is another car come to a stop, and then Kyren Lacey come to a stop. But you know what's really interesting to me as well is that there was another passenger in Kyren Lacey's car. They knew this. They have video footage of this individual getting out of the car. Why didn't you ascertain his identity? Why would you not want to hear the person with one of the best views of this incident? Why would you make a call? Why would you simply not bring him in for questioning?
Wait a minute. How come that was? Y'all know I am in the pit of confusion. Who was this person that was in the car with Kyren Lacey? No one has ascertained that? Okay. Let's keep going.
And I'm sure you talked to him after.
Of course, I talked to him after. It's exactly what they said. Yeah. It's exactly what they said. Mm-hmm. They actually thought at one point in time that she collided with the gold truck. That's the very first thing they told me, that they thought that this vehicle 2, was trying to get around the 2, as in slide between them, as in, uh-oh. You know, so you can see why. This is just amazing now, what I know, and there's so much more. We've spent hours and hours and hours scouring, but I don't know how else to tell anybody else that this is not mine. I didn't generate this. I didn't manipulate this. I didn't alter it. I didn't manufacture it. I received it from the district attorney's office. I then did my job and I compare it to the report and the investigation of state police. And it is drastic. It's drastic. The very last line of the report from the district attorney's office says, the evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Kyren Lacey should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him. And what we know is we never disputed ever that he passed those vehicles. They were in a row, 4 vehicles in a row. We know they were going 30 to 35 miles.
Wait a minute. So this is coming from the district attorney's office. And he's juxtaposing it from the information coming from the Louisiana State Police. And the district attorney's office is refuting the information that's given to them. Let's go back. Let's go back because I want to be clear.
Drastic. It's drastic. The very last line of the report from the district attorney's office says, the evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Kyren Lacey should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him. And what we know is we never disputed ever that he passed those vehicles. They were in a row, 4 vehicles in a row. We know they were going 30 to 35 miles an hour. He passed them. It was a no passing zone, but he got back in 92.3 yards. He was back in his lane of travel. He was 72 yards behind at the time of impact. We know that now. He was actually the second car to pull up behind, not even the first. At no point in time did he have to slam his brakes. He wasn't even close to the second car. He just eased in. He eased in. He went straight from there to the facility in Trevor for his football practice. But he had no idea he caused this accident because he didn't think he caused the accident. He didn't cause the accident.
When did you get knowledge of it? When did you first get on the case itself? When were you notified?
Weeks after. Remember, from the time of this investigation to when a warrant was executed, there were weeks apart, right? And then I get involved after that. By the time I get involved, he's already charged with this. So that's a circumstance that I inherit.
Right.
But, you know, you hear things, you keep your eyes open, you keep your ears open, and you listen, and something wasn't passing the litmus test here. So, you know, when you look back on this and you see actual data, it's not mine, that shows these types of things, and you go as far as a witness saying he split between 2 vehicles and then there was this spontaneous combustion, it truly should open some eyes, right? That is not even close to what happened.
As you started your discussion with Kyren Lacey, and look, once again, we'll talk about Mr. Hall later in the program because we're not avoiding talking about a veteran, but I want to stay on point here just for a second. When you're talking to Kyren Lacey and he's saying, Matt, I wasn't involved in this. What was his mindset like at the time?
It's horrible. Look, man, you got a young kid that's getting assassinated on public media, social media. He begged me to help him. I was already helping, but it was a consistent deal, obviously, meaning far after representation, begging me to help him. And you move as fast as you can with what you have, right? But there was a defining point for me in this whole situation that I knew he wasn't joking. And he referenced things in football fields. And I know it's easy to look back and say, oh, I bet he never said that. He's deceased now. BS. I'm telling you now what he told me. He said I was a football field. A football field is how he compared things, right? So he's saying when he got back in his lane of traffic, I know I was a football or even a little over a football field over by the time I'm back in my lane. And when I told him that they had video surveillance of this whole thing, it was like he was relieved for a second. Because I think in his mind, he thought that, which most did, most people that I talk to think that he actually hit the vehicle or he barely got past him and then they collided. That was the narrative that I heard the most. So in his mind, at least he's looking at this going, okay, somebody can show I was actually watched this accident. I saw it. And he told me there was a car between him. Hell, after I read everything prior to meeting with him and the things that I heard, I'm questioning what's going on here. Did he just get through and take off like they suggested? You and I read reports earlier. We're looking at all news reports where they say he actually collided with a vehicle.
They did.
They actually said he fled a scene. They actually said he came back to the scene. Do you know how preposterous that is? None of that's true. And he sure as hell never split the difference and barely got through and then there was some big explosion. That's not what happened. Kyren Lacey passed 4 vehicles. There's no question, in a row. Nobody ever disputed that. But it's now undisputed that he got back in 92.3 yards. Now, interestingly enough, the report indicates that at 120.4 yards, he was already entering back into the lane, right? The reason they reference that is they say in this report, the district attorney's office, their investigation yielded that at that time, Kyren and vehicle number 2, all right, 1.5 seconds before the accident or 120.4 yards apart.
So it said 120.4 yards, not feet.
All this is yards.
Yards.
This is not feet.
It's a big difference.
The only footage we have discussed, you and I today, is what's legally required when you pass a vehicle.
100 feet.
You have to be back in your lane of traffic 100 feet. He was over 300 feet. I'll be the first to admit that particular law does not say when you're in a no passing zone. Be clear. He passed 4 vehicles in a no passing zone. Never been disputed. Not once. Did I ever dispute that or anybody else? But the big.
So it was a no passing zone. And he's saying that he was back in his lane before anything happened.
Narrative spun was, and this is very important, that he was actively passing at the time of this accident. That is extremely important. We know now that is 100% false. In the conclusion of the district attorney's report,
What page you on? I'm going to follow.
This is on page 12.
Yeah, let me get to 12 here. Okay, go ahead.
They state in here that they gave the impression that Kyren Lacey was actively passing vehicles when the crash occurred, which is incorrect. He did pass 4 vehicles, but was back in the southbound lane before the crash occurred. And now we know, according to this data, that was 72.6 yards, as it's stated in this report.
When I think at one point while we were talking, you indicated to me that Kyren was very close to being vindicated on this matter. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I had a very good idea of enough started adding up to me to know that there were holes all over this thing, right? So it's the policy of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office that all homicides go to a grand jury. We were nearing that grand jury, right? Where all of this was coming out. Everything I'm telling you now is going to be presented to a grand jury in a fair, neutral, and impartial manner. So in my opinion, this never survives a grand jury. Never, never, ever survives a grand jury. We were 48 hours from that, from this report getting to the grand jury, right? So it is.
They're 48 hours because prior to that, Kyren Lacey pruned himself from the timeline.
The process, they moved it as quickly as they could. And by that, I just mean, it was done just like, which is the right thing to do, like every other case. It was done fair and square where, look, we have a homicide. We have to go through this process. The only promise that Ms. Russell made to myself and civil counsel for Mr. Hall was that she would complete the investigation and immediately set it for grand jury out of fairness to both. And she did that. She did exactly what she promised she would do. Insofar as an investigation, we had no idea what a result would be on her end. No clue. We just knew it was being done. They didn't sit on it for some amount of time. They worked it thoroughly, but in the time manner that they could. And they set it for grand jury just like they promised. So we couldn't have asked for more from a office who has always been and will always be just extremely fair, right? I mean, that's all you can ask for. There's no fault on their part. There's certainly no fault whatsoever on the part of Mr. Hall. That's a wonderful family. Believe me, it's not easy for me to get up here right now. There's a man who passed away other than Kyren Lacey, and his life was just as important as Kyren Lacey.
And that was one thing I regretted, and I would tell the family that I didn't spend enough time talking about Mr. Hall. He's deceased, and just
that's
paying our respects to their family too, because they're grieving and naturally they're going through a lot of turmoil too. But of course, I guess what we're looking for on this show is, and I think everyone would want it. I don't care which side you're on. You just want the truth.
I just want the accurate truth, right? What one thing, and I hate to, in fact, I'm not going to harp on it again, but you're right. That's all we're after here is a better picture of the truth. That's it. Never, what do you get me up here to try and put a black eye on state police? Look, man, these guys got a tough job. Tough job. There's some excellent, wonderful individuals, more than I can ever imagine, actually. I enjoy working with them. That's not my point here. But I hold myself accountable. I hold everyone that I come across accountable. They get no pass from me either. That doesn't mean they're bad people, right? That's not what we're here to say. That's not what I'm saying. I've never said that. I never will. I'm simply here to compare and contrast. Now, the findings of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office versus the findings of state police. We have a vast difference.
Let me go a little step further because I want to go to Houston a little bit because, there, and again, I mean, if you watch Facebook or you listen to social media, you're going to get 20 different reasons why Kyren Lacey took his life. And I'm going to go out on a limb because I figure you probably know the truth on this matter. Is there anything that you would like to set straight about the Houston part of this story?
I don't know that the Houston part of this story didn't upset me more than the front end. Let me just say this. Kyren Lacey went to Houston that Friday with his mind made. He was suffering. There was a point in time that night at his apartment, the apartment that he, his little brother, and his cousin were in. His mind was made. He wanted the keys to that vehicle to, I don't know how to say this, to
take his life.
Yeah. So it's either you give me my keys and I do this on my own accord, or this is going to go down right here, right now. Obviously, the keys were given. A welfare call was made. Keyword, welfare check, right? There was no crime. There's none of that, man. Mm-hmm. No drugs, none of that BS. Kid's mind was made. You know the rest of the story.
So he told whomever he was with that that was the place and time. Wasn't there a shot fired or something?
That's how he got his keys. I think that's how you're showing him. And by the way, the shot was fired in the ground on purpose to let them know the seriousness of what was going on in his head.
So he wanted their attention.
He wanted his keys.
Yeah.
And they knew not to give him his keys. They knew what was going to happen. But what are you going to do? You going to watch it go down, or are you going to give him his keys?
Right.
His mind was made. Social media killed him. Killed him. Mm-hmm. All those tough guys behind the computer,
yep.
Same ones who come after me when I do this interview, mm-hmm. Those guys.
A young man could not get used to it.
They're kids, man. Yeah. The difference between you and I, Martin, and them, mm-hmm. They don't know anything else other than those devices.
Right.
So they're describing the last final moments or the last day of Kyren Lacey's life, that he was in Houston. I don't know if it's Houston, Texas, or Houston, if there's a Houston, Louisiana. But he was so despondent at that point that he was going to take his life, that they were holding his keys away from him. And they gave him the keys. He goes off and then he prunes himself from the timeline.
You especially, I'm a little bit younger, but even myself, that's a later deal. Mm-hmm. That's all they know. They can't get away from him. Mm-hmm. And they believe what these people say. They believe it. It doesn't matter what I showed you today. There are going to be people that are going to talk horribly about him, horribly about me. Life is such, but I have a job to do. Mm-hmm. No matter who is in the way of that. You have to do what you have to do. Whatever consequences come my way from this, so be it.
And I'm hearing you loud and clear. He, in his own mind, and I'm speculating, he was already prosecuted in his own mind.
That's correct. He was already prosecuted.
And we can only imagine, wasn't the Vikings about to draft him?
I had talked to the Saints. I had talked to the Vikings. Not that I'm his agent by any stretch, but there were teams reaching out to learn about this matter, that really liked him. But they obviously wanted to know what was going on. I did the best that I could to tell them and advise them the grand jury was set for this particular day. We didn't make it there, though. So Kyren Lacey is going to change the way things are done. He's going to make people think twice about what they say before they say it. Not everybody. Somebody. Mm-hmm. Maybe Kyren Lacey makes someone think twice before the next investigation to say, hold on, maybe we got to look at a few other things here, right? Maybe let's not jump to conclusions. Thoroughly review. Just maybe somebody else is saved from the same exact thing. Maybe thousands.
I do offer all other sides a chance to come. They can debate it or rebut or whatever.
To this day, formal charges were never accepted by the district attorney. This is over. There's no criminal proceeding.
Done.
This is about making a promise to a kid who begged you to help him. You make a promise, you follow through on that promise. Mm-hmm. It's nothing more, nothing less to tell the world Kyren Lacey's version. He never got to tell the world his version. Okay. We just did that.
Wow. Have you spoken to his family?
I did. I met with him after obtaining everything, thoroughly going through it, watching videos, listening to statements. We've seen everything. And, it just brings back a lot of memories. Same for Mr. Hall's family. I know it brings back some memories you guys don't want to recall.
This is a lot. We're getting, because so we have gotten most of the facts. I'm going to play it because, again, I want to make sure that we have the totality and the context of what is being said from this video before we move into the video provided by the Louisiana State Patrol. So I want to make sure that he says all that he needs to say
Same
in
for the
regards
Lacey
to
family,
that.
because at the end of the day, you got two very important lives that were lost. Nothing's going to bring that back, either one of them. So I talked to him. You can about imagine how it went. Very cordial, though. No yelling, no throwing, none of that. A lot of crying.
Right.
As I suspect Mr. Hall's family does the same thing, rightfully so, right? So it's just not fun for anybody, to be quite frank.
And that's the hardest part about doing an interview like this is you have so many people involved, and Kyren Lacey just happens to be such a high profile person that I know the Halls grieving. And once again, if I had any regrets from the first interviews, that I didn't talk about Mr. Hall. And from what I heard, he was a tremendous man and just great storyteller, good person. But
Class act family.
It's just, it seems to be a tragedy all the way around.
It is.
When you really look at it.
It is. There's no winners here. There never will be. The class that Mr. Hall's family has exhibited has been tremendous. I know it's hard, but truly appreciated.
Yeah, and hopefully this can find some kind of space where truth is always the best aspect of people coming forward. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the state police too, because I've worked with them for 42 years, and they come every week to do news stories, and we always want to be careful on this news desk that we don't say something that sort of depicts the whole deal as being the whole state police or the whole district attorney's office or anything like that. We want to sort of categorize things.
There's no question, man. There's nothing easy about it. You and I talked about it, not that it had anything to do with this. We talked about Frank Bason earlier. What a stand-up class act, right?
Yep.
Christine Russell, stand-up class act. Family of Mr. Hall, stand-up class act. The Lacey family has been a stand-up class act. And Kyren Lacey, to me, was a stand-up class act. There's no winner here. We're all lost. But at least we have a little more accuracy. And at least the second side of the story is told.
When you were at his funeral, you got up and spoke.
I did.
And you looked at him and you made a promise to him. Is this kind of what the promise you were talking about, finding out what took place?
Yeah. His parents had given me a pin of his picture. And at that funeral, I took it home with me, obviously, but as he's sitting there, he had always asked me previous to that, Mr. Matt, you got me, dog? Kyren, I promise you, I got you, dog. So I get home and I took that pin. It's got his picture on it, and I kept it out every day. I wrote on the back of it, I got you, dog. Never let it leave that side. And this is my version, bringing clarity. Bringing his version is me telling him, I got you, dog. Whatever that's worth, I don't know. I hope that he's looking down and has a little peace, because he didn't go out with peace.
Matt, we appreciate you joining us today in tough circumstances, and thanks for coming in and sharing your thoughts and some of your findings with us.
Very welcome.
All right. Once again, we appreciate all of.
Okay. So that was a 45-minute video, but that was the video of Kyren Lacey's attorney laying out the information in regards to the report of what happened. What was interesting in this whole thing was the fact that the district attorney's office said the information provided by the state police doesn't match up with the evidence that their office did when they did the investigation. Now, I will tell you, it sounds like from what he's saying that there was a thorough investigation done. And again, they're not dogging out the district attorney's office. They're not dogging out the police department. They're not doing any of that. They're just coming back, going over what the district attorney's report was, from what the Louisiana State Police report was, and pointing out some information and some glaring issues that went on. Was there any misconduct? He didn't go into that. He just basically stated that according to the district attorney's office, the evidence that was presented to them, it did not appear that Kyren Lacey's conduct, even though the conduct, they don't dispute, they capitulate to the fact that he did pass 4 cars in a no passing lane, that they're saying that even though he did that, it was far enough back that it would not have messed up the response times, so that that particular accident, they don't believe that he caused that particular accident. Now, that is the information. Now, I do not have a copy of that report. I don't know if it's available or not. So, but here's a news reporter that was looking through that information. That was a defense attorney that was reading that information. And shout out, kudos to this reporter who was able to let us see the information in real time as they were reading it. So we'll let that be how it is. Now, let's get into the Louisiana State Police. They released the evidence in the case. So here we are. It's an 11-minute video. So we definitely going to go through here and listen and look at the evidence that was presented from the Louisiana State Police. This is their critical incident briefing video.
I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. You're about to view a critical incident briefing video that is intended to give the community a better understanding of the incident that occurred. The video is inclusive of evidence related to the incident, which may include 911 calls, body-worn camera footage, and other relevant information. As this comprehensive investigation develops, our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. The Department's ability to investigate these incidents relies on the impartial and transparent investigations, as well as considering the potential criminal responsibility of those involved.
On Tuesday, December 17th, 2024,
Let me go back, because is it just me that he didn't blink? I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. You're about to view a critical incident briefing video that is intended to give the community a better understanding of the incident that occurred. The video is inclusive of evidence related to the incident, which may include 911 calls, body-worn camera footage, and other relevant information. As this comprehensive investigation develops, our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. The Department's ability to investigate these incidents relies on the impartial and transparent investigations, as well as considering the potential criminal responsibility of those involved.
on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, Louisiana State Police Troop C began investigating a fatal crash that occurred on LA 20 near.
Now you see where the crash, you see this is I guess is a Google Maps view of the crash. I think this is the Dollar General. One of these two on this side is the Dollar General. This is some kind of store over here. So this is where the crash located. This is supposed to be where the gold truck veered off the road or pulled off the road. And this is supposed to be where the accident took place. So The car behind vehicle 2 is what the defense attorney called it, was coming from this direction. And they veered off this way, coming into the southbound traffic, and then that's where the collision happened. So there is no roads. There's just several options to come off the road.
Perez Lane and Chack Bay, located in Lafourche Parish. This investigative briefing has been prepared to provide clarification of the facts and an accurate depiction of the evidence in the moments leading up to the crash and the subsequent investigation. Due to differences in technology, the timestamps on the business surveillance footage may not align with the actual time data recorded by Louisiana State Police based on recorded radio communications. According to the video timestamp, at 12:03 p.m. and 52 seconds, a green Dodge Charger is seen traveling south in the opposing lane on LA 20 at a high rate of speed, passing 3 passenger vehicles and 1 loaded 18-wheeler in a designated no passing zone with a 40-mile-per-hour posted speed limit. As a green Dodge,
And that's key. A designated no passing zone with a 40-mile-per-hour sign. So you know you couldn't pass, and you also know that you could only travel 40 miles per hour. Now, this gas station is important because this gas station's CCTV, this gas station's video surveillance system, pretty much caught the whole thing.
Charger returns to the southbound lane. Aggressive braking and engine deceleration are immediately followed by a crash that can be heard on the surveillance footage. According to the video timestamp, at 12:03.
Now, you saw that. That was one particular angle from the surveillance video at the gas station. I guess the camera that's just looking straight ahead. You saw the green car travel at a good rate of speed, and then you heard it brake, and then you heard the crash, right? So this is the view from the camera that has an angle going towards southbound, following the car this way, because I guess it's trying to make sure it keeps a visual on its pumps and everything out here.
p.m. and 54 seconds.
Hold on. You see all this pump. So they probably have a camera that has like three cameras, one looking to the left, one looking to the right, and one looking straight ahead.
A portion of the crash can be seen as it occurs. Moments before the crash, the gold pickup truck abruptly veers out of the northbound lane into a business, while the green Charger is approaching in the same lane. Immediately after the crash occurred, the green Charger was observed on surveillance video and by witnesses traveling through the crash scene and continues north on LA 20, failing to stop. At the same time, all other vehicles remain at the scene to provide assistance.
There's the crash.
The briefing will now transition to the troopers' response.
Let's go back because this is what we need to see. Now, this video, and I'm not going to play it with the sound. This video debunks one of the people back in the other car that was about 3 or 4 cars saying that the green Charger was part of the crash. There's the green Charger. And then you hear the crash. Now we're going to play that camera looking straight ahead. There's the green Charger. He's back in his lane. Hear the crash sound.
According to the video timestamp, at 12:03 p.m. and 54 seconds, A portion of the crash can be seen as it occurs. Moments before the crash, the gold pickup truck abruptly veers out of the northbound lane into a business, while the green Charger is approaching in the same lane. Immediately after the crash occurred, the green Charger was observed on surveillance video and by witnesses traveling through the crash scene and continues north on LA 20, failing to stop. At the same time, all other vehicles remain at the scene to provide assistance.
There's the crash. There's the green Charger. And the green Charger just goes around it.
The briefing will now transition to the troopers' response and investigation. At 12:00 p.m., a two-vehicle injury crash with road blockage was dispatched to Louisiana State Police Troop C via the 911 dispatch system. The responding trooper arrived on the scene at 12:07 p.m. and was immediately met by numerous witnesses who described a green Charger driving aggressively and causing the crash. The video has been edited for time purposes.
Region 2, be advised, we got total road blockage on LA 20.
That's important. If you get a chance, can you advise code of injury?
Civil.
It's a natural instinct to turn and then she had no hit head on.
Did you see a green Charger flying that way? A green Charger that going that way?
There was a green Charger
There was a green Charger that
caused all this.
SRT8, he caused all that. He went to pass the cars way back there, sir.
The green Charger collided with these cars?
He went right between.
He went around that truck, okay?
He was passing up with
her
right now.
and she had no choice. She hits the pole, she hits this.
How are they injuries? What
She
are they?
got a broken ankle.
Them two are back injuries and then stuff like that. I was on the phone when
two back injuries, one broken ankle?
Yeah,
I'm not. I just told him not to move. You know what I'm saying? Me doing my
You said something about a green Charger. Who told you something about a green Charger?
I'm down 18 wheeler right there, sir.
Okay, so you saw it?
I saw it.
What did you see happen?
He went to pass him. I say when he went to pass these cars back there around around the curve. All right.
Okay.
All right. Hey, he come down. Right. When he come down, I got Mr. He had his brother that he was taken to the emergency room, to the hospital or something like that, chemo or something like that. But I got his number also to verify this, because he was the car that was in front of her. When that green Charger came, he went caused this whole big traffic, so everybody went to hitting brakes because the Charger, I thought he would hit the gold truck head on. So he jammed on brakes. She was coming down, they was going that way. When I saw...
Which way was the Charger going? The Charger
was going this way.
Charger's going this way, okay.
She was coming this way.
Okay.
They was going this way also. Mr. jammed on brakes. She went to dodge Mr. And that's when she came on.
I was watching. I was about to gas
hit him, on the left side. She come over and hit him.
Which 18 wheel were you driving?
The rebel. Right there.
So the Charger, I guess, passed you up?
The Charger D-line, it was cars behind me because I'm taking my time.
And the Charger passing all these cars in this
everybody.
lane? And so almost hit this one head on?
No, he almost hit this. It was a gold truck. I got his number right here. That's why I took his number and his name.
Almost hit the gold truck head on?
Yeah, that's his number and phone number and name.
So the gold truck, what did the gold truck do?
The gold truck in his area right here.
The gold truck slams on his brakes.
Slams on brakes to stop the Charger. The Charger swerves back in.
Okay.
And cut somebody else off, whoever was behind them.
Okay.
But then they slammed on, the Charger, he swerved in front of them. They slammed on brakes. And by this time, he slips through, right?
Okay.
As he slips through, she's coming. She like to round the back of the gold truck. That's what I'm saying.
She almost hit the back of Miss.
Yeah.
Was Miss truck hit?
No. He was missed.
Okay. So the truck, Mr. He slammed on it.
No, it was right up. The gold truck was right up there.
Right. Yeah. He slams on his brakes to avoid the Charger.
Yeah.
This car,
what? Cuts that car off, if I'm not mistaken.
So what does this car do? It just swerves out the way to avoid.
So because I was watching it too.
She turned the wrong way. Yeah. Instead of going towards the post, she turned this way.
Okay, so she turned this way, and then this car was just coming.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. And then the Charger
If
came
you want to take that
around.
number, that's the number for
Yeah, the Charger
the guy
passed right
that was in the gold
Yeah.
truck.
Okay.
Charger passed in between the
Yeah, the
mailbox and
Charger
car.
stopped.
I took
Yeah,
that because
'cause
he
he
was
almost hit
leaving,
me.
but you know.
Okay.
And the
So the guy in the gold truck is not there. The guy in the gold truck left his name and number and went on and went on to whatever he had to go to. So they're saying that these are the witnesses. This is the guy, the black guy that's talking says that he was the truck driver. And if you look back here, excuse me. If you look back here where my pointer is, this is the truck. And you remember Lacey was coming from that direction. And he's saying that Lacey passed all of these cars, got back, and then he put on his brakes, and then the accident happened. This is how he's saying it. And then she was trying to avoid hitting the gold truck, which would have been somewhere right around in here. Or somewhere right up in here. She was avoiding to hit the gold truck, and she swerved in oncoming traffic and hit the other car.
without him, the Charger had stopped.
There's a green Charger?
Yeah, but then when he seen what happened, he almost hit me because he came right here and kept on.
He was the only one that he was one of the only ones that jumped out of traffic. Everybody else turned around went the other way. He jumped out of traffic, eased through here, and went on down the road.
Okay.
Okay, look, I know it's hurting right now, but do you think you could just tell me briefly what happened? Or do you remember?
I just know the truck was stopping on brakes. The other car was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting them by coming around.
Okay. Do you remember how fast you were going?
The speed limit.
Okay. Thank you.
While on scene, the investigating trooper obtained written and recorded statements.
Okay, y'all. Now, if you watched that last video that we had, this is the statement that's supposed to be from the guy from the gold Charger. And this is what the attorney Ori was saying that he had an issue with, because this statement right here contradicted what the guy in the gold truck said in the other video. And even though that they have redacted it down here, we have seen that this said refused. And this was the trooper that took the statement and his signature. So again, so we know that this right here was refused. So the guy in the gold truck didn't sign this statement.
The trooper also spoke with additional witnesses via phone and ultimately obtained written statements later in the investigation. After the crash, the passenger in the Kia Sorento died. As part of the continued investigation, the investigating trooper made contact with the driver of the gold truck at a later date to obtain an official written statement based on previous conversations. Troopers also received an additional witness statement describing the erratic driving behavior of the green Charger 10 minutes before the crash. Following the on-scene investigation.
So here is their sequence of events. So up here at the top right here, if you can see my mouse, this is the Chevron station that was recording everything, that recorded or got a good glimpse of everything. So you've got the green car passing the 4 cars, and then right at around the Chevron station, he gets back into.
Troopers identified the green.
He gets back into the lane. He's driving, and then this car, they're saying that this is supposed to be the gold truck. He swerves off and goes off the road. He goes here. He goes off the road. They're saying that this car, the white car that was traveling behind him, by the time she realized to keep from hitting him, she swerved into ongoing traffic and hit the car.
Green Charger as a vehicle of interest and utilized 21 separate surveillance video cameras to capture the uninterrupted path of the green Charger from the crash scene to its Thibodeau business 11 miles away. Through the use of investigative tools, troopers were able to obtain the license plate number of the green Charger on December 19th, 2024. On December 26, 2024, troopers determined that Kyren Lacey was the driver of the green Charger at the time of the crash. Just prior to the crash, Lacey was illegally in the opposing lane, passing southbound vehicles. The gold truck traveling north veered right to avoid a head-on collision with the green Charger. As the gold truck veered right, the driver of the Kia Cadenza saw the approaching green Charger. In reaction, the Kia Cadenza driver swerved left into the southbound lane and impacted a northbound Kia Sorento. Through the investigation, troopers determined that the driver of the gold truck reacted appropriately to avoid a head-on collision with the green Charger, which was approaching at a high rate of speed. In consideration of the high speed of the green Charger compared to the surrounding and opposing vehicles, the reaction time of the involved drivers was greatly diminished. Since the incident occurred, the Louisiana State Police never reported that the green Charger impacted any of the involved vehicles. However, all evidence collected supports the conclusion that Lacey's reckless operation of the green Charger in oncoming traffic triggered the chain of events involving the other drivers, ultimately resulting in the fatal crash. Additionally, troopers determined that less than 10 minutes after the crash occurred, evidence supports that Lacey's first outgoing phone call was to a Baton Rouge area personal injury and defense attorney. After consultation with the Lafourche Parish.
Now that's interesting. That they said that they put that information that his first outgoing call that's interesting that, because we went over this video earlier today, with the sound not playing. And that's interesting to me that they're saying that his first outgoing call was to a lawyer. Now, was that to indicate that he knew that he had caused a wreck? Interesting.
District Attorney's Office on January 2nd, 2025. An arrest warrant was signed on January 8th, 2025 through the 17th Judicial Court for Kyren Lacey. In coordination with his attorney, Lacey was arrested on January 12, 2025 at the Lafourche Parish Correctional Center. The driver of the Kia Cadenza was initially issued a citation for following too close, which was later amended to driving left of center. This incident resulted in numerous injuries and loss of life. All involved victims deserve a thorough and complete investigation based on all available factual evidence.
And now that stacks up because you remember the defense attorney, Ori, said she was issued a ticket for driving too close behind the gold car. And then they amended it to say she was driving left of center. Now, do they hold the same amount of weight?
Additional investigative reports and videos can be utilized through the Trending Topics link on the GovQA platform.
All right. We've gone through all the videos that we have. Now, if you're not familiar with who Kyren Lacey is, so he was a former LSU wide receiver who pruned himself from the timeline back in April 2025. He was a prominent football player. First, he played with the University of Louisiana. Then he transferred to LSU. He was before the crash. He was projected to go high in the NFL draft. Now, again, this car crash happened on December 17, 2024. He was charged with reckless driving, speeding, illegal passing in a no-passing zone, and he was also charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and the reckless operation of a vehicle. And again, we saw the video from the attorney, Lacey's attorney, that presented new evidence, including surveillance video. There were video evidence. The video evidence shows Lacey's green Dodger passing multiple cars, but then traveling a significant distance behind the crash scenes. The attorney argues the video, along with the witness statements, that the police at the scene of the action show Lacey was too far behind the crash to be responsible. The state attorney's office says it would investigate the handling of the case. So this case never did go to a grand jury because, again, he was pruned he pruned himself from the timeline before the grand jury convened. And so he died in Houston, Texas, because I didn't know if it was Houston, Texas, or if it was Houston, Louisiana. So again, because Mr. Lacey is no longer with us, they won't be able to prosecute him. So the case is basically dead, going nowhere. Again, the attorney, Mr. Ori, was basically saying that he wanted to make sure that the information that he had got out. So we have the information. So what say you? From all the information that we have, what do you all think? I'm looking up to see. Hold on, yeah. I'm just looking to see. I can't remember what she okay. And in other news that, I'm just going to put it up here because we have been talking about this for probably almost, it hadn't been a year, but it's been a long time. I see a Facebook post to show, as I was going through the Louisiana State Police, that they got Derek Groves, y'all. When did they get him? It says, through a coordinated effort involving Crime Stoppers, Greater New Orleans, the United States Marshal Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, Louisiana State Police, the Orleans Parish, the New Orleans Police Department, the Atlanta Police Department, and other federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, 28-year-old Derek Groves was apprehended on Wednesday, October 8th in Atlanta, Georgia, after a brief standoff. Groves was one of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish Prison on May 16th, prompting a multi-agency manhunt. Since his escape, law enforcement agencies have worked together to locate and apprehend him. So they found him over in Atlanta. Well. And this is Derek Groves. He was the last one that they found. Most of these, I think him and this Van Buren guy were the last two to be captured. Pretty much everybody else was captured in the same day. But they finally got Derek Groves, and he was found over there in Atlanta, y'all. My. All right, people. I just needed to share that with y'all. But again, getting back to the case, what do y'all think? It sounds like if the district attorney didn't if the district attorney didn't believe it, I don't know what else anybody else is going to do. All right, people. I went to the site. So here's coming from the police. This is the report that came from the police. And this talks about the crash findings. On December 17th at 2024 at 1200 hours, Louisiana State Police Troop C was notified of a 2-vehicle injury crash on LA 20 near Perez Lane in the Chalk Bay community. The initial information provided stated that 2 vehicles possibly collided head on, and there were 3 injuries reported with road blockage. Whoever the trooper was assigned, and there's a lot of redaction in here, and I believe his names, was assigned to investigate the crash and responded to LA 20 in Thibodaux, LA. I arrived on the scene at 12:07 hours. Upon the arrival, I observed multiple members with the Thibodaux Volunteer Fire Department and the Chalk Bay Volunteer Fire Department blocking off both lanes of LA 20. Multiple members of the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office arrived on the scene shortly after, along with Acadian Ambulance. I also noted the weather was clear and sunny and the roadway was dry. I then began speaking to on-scene witnesses, and I learned that Vehicle 1, identified as a green Dodge Charger, had fled the scene of the crash. When I arrived on the scene, I parked my patrol car in the middle of the road facing north, just south of the crash scene, and began walking north. I observed a white 2017 Kia Cadenza displaying Louisiana temporary tags, identified as Vehicle 2, which was both in the north and southbound lane facing northwest. The vehicle had severe front end damage. I observed the driver of Vehicle 2, identified as laying down on the roadway next to the driver's side door of Vehicle 2, being treated by Acadian Ambulance for her injuries. After briefly observing Vehicle 2, I observed a gray 2017 Kia Sorento displaying Louisiana Disabled Veteran plates, identified as Vehicle 3, which was partially in the southbound lane of LA 20 and partially off the roadway facing southeast. The vehicle had severe front end damage. I observed the driver of vehicle 3 sitting in the driver's seat of the vehicle, and I observed a passenger in the front passenger seat as well. The driver of vehicle 3 was identified as who they redacted, and the passenger was identified as. I then made contact with Miss of driver 2. Miss informed me that she was traveling north on LA going approximately 40 miles per hour behind a pickup truck. She said the pickup truck slammed on its brakes and swerved to the right. She said she observed a green Dodge Charger in her lane coming straight at her at a high rate of speed. She said she made an immediate left turn, attempting to get out of the way. She said once she swerved to the left, she collided head on with vehicle 3. I then made contact with Mrs. Driver of vehicle 3. She informed me that she was traveling south on LA 20. She said that she was as she was traveling south on vehicle 2, vehicle 2 was traveling north and swerved into her lane directly in front of her. She said vehicle 2 then struck her vehicle head on. I then began photographing the scene and inspecting the vehicles involved. I obtained witness statements and later collected video surveillance footage from multiple nearby addresses. Vehicle 2 was towed by Guyot's wrecker, and vehicle 3 was towed by Auto Center. Driver 2 and 3 were transported to University Medical Center in New Orleans with suspected moderate injuries by Acadian Ambulance Ground Unit. The front seat passenger of vehicle 3 was transported to University Medical Center in New Orleans with what was initially suspected to be severe injuries by Acadian Ambulance AirMed. So he was airlifted out. On December 17, 2024, at 16:13 hours, Louisiana State Police C was notified that Mr. So-and-so, the passenger of vehicle 3, was suffering from life-threatening internal injuries. Upon learning this information, I, along with, returned to the scene to take additional photographs and document roadway evidence. At 19:28 hours, Troop C was notified that Mr. Blank N's vehicle 3 died at University Medical Center as a result of injuries sustained in the crash. He was pronounced deceased by Dr. whoever on December 17th at 17:15 hours. On December 22nd, I drove to Auto Center and Guyot Wrecker and took additional photographs of the vehicles involved. On December 31st, 2024, TFC drove back to the location of the crash and shot the total station. So then it goes in that they talk to witnesses. Mr. Blank, a witness to the crash, provided a written statement. He said he was traveling south on LA 28 in an 18-wheeler en route to deliver a load to Broussard, Louisiana. He said that the traffic was getting congested and all the vehicles in front of him were dropping speed. He said he was traveling approximately 30 to 35 miles per hour. He said while scanning his mirrors, he observed a lime green Dodge Charger, which they termed to be vehicle 1, traveling at a high rate of speed behind him in the wrong lane of traffic. He then noticed vehicle 1 was passing multiple vehicles in a no passing zone. He said it appeared vehicle 1 was passing at least 5 to 8 vehicles at what he believed must have been over 80 miles per hour. He said vehicle 1 was traveling south in the northbound lane of LA 20. Vehicle 1 was quickly approaching a gold Ford pickup truck traveling north on LA. He said the pickup truck then slammed on its brakes to avoid vehicle 1. He said the vehicle traveling directly behind the pickup truck then swerved into the southbound lane of LA 20. He said vehicle 2 then struck the third vehicle that was in front of him in the southbound lane of LA 20. He said after the collision, vehicle 1 then drove around the collision and continued speeding on LA 20. Mr. Blank, a witness to the crash and driver of the gold Ford pickup truck, provided a written statement. He said he was traveling north of LA 20. He said he was traveling north. As he was traveling north, a green Dodge Charger. Let me do this. There we go. He said, as he was traveling north, a green Dodge Charger was traveling south on LA 20 in the northbound lane, passing multiple cars. He said that he had to slam on his brake and veer to the right off road in order to avoid the Charger. He said the vehicle behind him, vehicle 2, then struck another vehicle, which was vehicle 3, in the southbound lane. He said he then exited his vehicle to check on the other driver. He said after checking on the drivers, he left the scene of the crash. I obtained a witness statement for him on December 22nd at his residence. On January 16, 2025, Miss contacted Louisiana State Police, Troop C, with information regarding Vehicle 1. Responding to her residence in Thibodaux, LA, and obtained a written statement. She said that on December 17th, she was traveling south on LA 20 between, Vacherie and Thibodaux. Don't get me, folks from Louisiana. She advised at approximately 11:45 hours, she observed a lime green car pass up her vehicle along with 2 other vehicles in front of her in the northbound lane of LA 20. She said at the same time there were oncoming traffic in the northbound lane, and the incoming vehicles had to slam on their brakes to avoid colliding head-on with the lime green vehicle. She said it appeared that Vehicle 1 was traveling at a speed of 80 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. She said Vehicle 1 then continued traveling south on LA 20 at a very high rate of speed, and she lost sight of the vehicle. They were able to obtain video surveillance footage of the crash from Gobert Chevron station at address of 512 LA 20 in the Chack Bay community. The video footage was recorded from 3 westward facing cameras. The video footage shows that Vehicle 1 traveling south on LA 20 in the northbound lane, passing multiple southbound vehicles at a high rate of speed. The video footage then captures Vehicle 1 abruptly slowing to a sudden stop in the northbound lane, but does not show the full crash. The video footage then captures Vehicle 1 traveling slightly off the road to the left to go around the crash and flee the scene. The audio of the video captures the sound of the crash occurring. I was able to obtain video surveillance footage from Our Lady of Prompt Succor Catholic Church, located at the address 529 LA 20 in the Chack Bay community. The video footage was recorded from an eastward-facing camera. The video footage captures Vehicle 3 traveling south on LA 20, followed by 3 other vehicles, including an 18-wheeler. The video footage then captures Vehicle 1 traveling south on LA 20. This will indicate that Vehicle 1 was attempting to pass 4 cars, one being an 18-wheeler, in a no passing zone at the time of the crash. So then they talk about the difference. So we have driver 1, who was later identified as was uninjured as a result of the crash and fled the scene. So this is supposed to be Mr. Lacey. Driver 2 sustained a severe ankle fracture as a result of this crash and was transported to University Medical Center in New Orleans by Acadian ambulance. Driver 3, the vehicle that driver 2 hit, sustained an abdominal hematoma as a result of this crash and was transported to University Medical Center in New Orleans. The front seat passenger of Vehicle 3, Mr. Think, sustained severe injuries as a result of this crash and was transported to University Medical Center in New Orleans. On December 17, he succumbed to his injury and was pronounced deceased at the University Medical Center in New Orleans. Notification was made to his family by hospital staff and sergeant with the Louisiana State Police Troop 2. Due to no autopsy being performed, I applied for and obtained a warrant for Mr. Medical records from Orleans Parish signed by Judge Juana Lombard on January 17, 2025. The warrant was electronically sent to the Records Department of the University of Medical Center in New Orleans. They electronically returned a copy of his medical records, which indicated that he suffered fatal injuries as a result from the crash. All witness statements were provided and all video surveillance footage obtained indicated that speed was a factor for vehicle 1. Miss Driver 2 stated that she observed vehicle 1 traveling directly in front of her in the northbound lane at a high rate of speed. A witness to the crash, also advised he observed vehicle 1 traveling directly in front of him in the northbound lane at a high rate of speed, which is why he abruptly stopped and swerved off the road to the right. A witness to the crash advised that he was traveling south approximately 30 to 35 miles and vehicle 1 passed his vehicle along with multiple other vehicles traveling south in the northbound lane at a speed of at least 80 miles per hour. The vehicle footage from the Gobert Chevron station captures multiple vehicles traveling south on LA 20 at the approximate speed limit. Vehicle 1's passing all of these vehicles in the northbound lane at extremely high rate of speed. Vehicle 1's loud exhaust from the engine can be heard accelerating in the video. The electronic data recorder was removed from vehicle 2 and transported to Troop C for analysis. Driver 2 consented to having the information contained in vehicle 2's electronic data recorder downloaded. So these newer cars have like black boxes, y'all. I mean, I figured it, but you know. She consented to having the information contained in vehicle 2's electronic data recorder downloaded. Upon downloading the electronic data recorder, it reflected that vehicle 2 was traveling at a speed of 49 miles per hour, 5 seconds prior to impact. Converting 49 miles per hour to feet per second, vehicle 2 would have still been in a 55 mile per hour speed zone 5 seconds from impact. Vehicle 2 enters the 40 mile per hour zone approximately 3 seconds from impact and was still traveling 49 miles per hour. At 0.05 seconds out, vehicle 2 was traveling 45 miles per hour. Upon impact with vehicle 3, vehicle 2 was traveling 39 miles per hour. Please refers to Sergeant Blank's electronic data recorder supplemental report. Driver 3 stated that she was traveling at the approximate speed limit at the time of the crash. The posted speed limit on LA 20 near Perez Lane is 40 miles per hour. The obtained video footage and all witness statements appear to be consistent with Mrs. Blank's statement. There's no evidence to suggest the speed is a factor from driver 3 in relation to this crash. Let's see. Pre-crash history. On January 9th, I spoke to Miss Blank, driver 2, over the phone about her whereabouts prior to the crash. She informed me that she went to bed the night before at her home in Huma, Louisiana. She said she left her residence in the morning of the crash at approximately 10:30 hours. She said she was on her way to work at the time of the crash. On January 17th, I spoke to Mrs. Blank, driver 3, over the phone about her whereabouts prior to the crash. She informed me that she and her husband left their residence at approximately 10 a.m. that morning to have lunch in La Place, LA. She said they could not find the restaurant they wanted to visit, so they turned around and started heading back to Thibodaux. She said they were on their way home at the time of the crash. The crash occurred on LA 20, just north of Perez Lane in the Chack Bay community. The roadway is a two-way roadway with no physical separation. The roadway surface at the time of the crash was dry blacktop with no visible defects. The roadway is clearly marked with solid yellow center lines indicating a no passing zone for both north and southbound traffic. The no passing zone for southbound traffic begins at 0.45 miles north of the crash scene. There are solid white fog lines for both northbound and southbound traffic. There are no shoulders for either northbound or southbound traffic. A speed limit sign displaying 40 miles per hour for northbound traffic is located 259 feet south of the crash scene. A speed limit sign displaying 40 miles per hour for southbound traffic is located 0.12 miles north of the crash scene. They talked about the vehicles. Vehicle 1 did not sustain any damage as a result of the crash. Vehicle 2 sustained serious damage to the front. The front bumper, fender, engine compartment, and hood would push inwards towards the passenger's compartment. The front and side airbags were deployed in Vehicle 2. The seatbelt was locked in the extended position, indicated driver 2 was properly restrained at the time of the crash. I did not observe any issues or defects with the vehicle which would have contributed to this crash. Vehicle 3 sustained severe damage to the front. The front bumper, fenders, engine compartment, and hood would push inward toward the passenger compartment. The front and side airbags were deployed in Vehicle 3. Both seat belts were locked in the extended position, indicating both drivers 3 and the front seat passenger were properly restrained at the time of the crash. I did not observe any issues or defects with the vehicle which could have contributed to the crash. So they said that there was no alcohol used for driver 1 because he fled, they said, due to fleeing the crash. So it's unknown if alcohol or drugs were used. There was not a factor for driver 2. A warrant was obtained for her medical records, and the toxicology report was submitted to the Orleans Parish judge. The return medical indicated driver 2 was negative for all tested categories. There was no indication of any blood alcohol content in the report. There was a warrant was obtained, and there was negative for them. So here's the conclusion. On December 17th, at approximately 11:55 hours, a fatal crash occurred at LA 20 near Perez Lane in Chack Bay, LA. Driver 1 was traveling south on LA 20 behind several cars. Vehicle 2 was traveling north on LA behind a white pickup truck, a gold pickup truck, I guess is what it's supposed to be. With Vehicle 3 was traveling south, several vehicles ahead of Vehicle 1. Vehicle 1 entered the opposed northbound lane of LA 20 and began overtaking 4 vehicles, including an 18-wheeler, in a clearly marked no passing zone. In doing so, driver 1 significantly exceeded the posted 40 miles per hour speed limit as he approached oncoming traffic. The driver of the white pickup truck traveling north immediately applied his brakes and swerved to a right to avoid a head-on collision with Vehicle 1. Vehicle 2 traveling behind the white pickup truck, and that's really supposed to be gold pickup truck, was now in the path of Vehicle 1, facing an imminent head-on crash. In response, driver 2 swerved to the left, crossing the center line of the roadway to avoid a collision with Vehicle 1. This action resulted in Vehicle 2 colliding head-on with Vehicle 3. Upon impact, Vehicle 2 rotated counterclockwise and came to rest in both the north and southbound lane, facing northwest. Vehicle 3 also rotated counterclockwise and came to rest partially on the southbound lane and partially off the roadway, facing southeast. After the collision, driver 1 briefly returned to the southbound lane before re-entering the opposing northbound lane, crossing over the double yellow lines and driving through a parking lot off the side of the north main line while fleeing the scene. The investigation determined that the grossly negligent driving behavior of driver 1 forced both Mr. Blank and driver 2 to take immediate evasive actions to avoid a head-on collision. Given the time, distance, and speed of vehicle 1's approach, driver 2's only viable option was to swerve left into the opposing lane. This maneuver resulted in a head-on collision between vehicle 2 and 3, which tragically caused fatal injuries to the front seat passenger of vehicle 3. Video evidence reveals that driver 1 did not stop to render aid or identify themselves following the crash. The severity of the collision and the extensive damage to the vehicles would have been apparent to any reasonable person, indicating that serious injuries or death had occurred. The video also shows that driver 1 fled the scene, clearly aware that his actions had caused the crash. While driver 1 actions were the primary cause of the chain of events leading to the fatal crash, driver 2 was cited for driving left of center. So it says here, this information is auto-generated from report data. So what do they have? Okay, so this is the infamous sequence of events report. And Gobert Chevron right here is where they were getting all of their information. So we can kind of see this. I hope you all can see this a little bit bigger. So this is supposed to be the green car. He has overtaken 4 cars, comes back into the correct lane he's supposed to be in. Here's the white SUV. Here's vehicle 3. White SUV starts to brake. He brakes. That is because gold car here veers off the road, but vehicle 2 rolls into oncoming traffic and hits this car. And this is how these cars ended up. I know. Listen. Hey, Kat. I know, right? Refuse. Why would they redact? I don't think they thought that the guy was going to be on television talking about it. I don't think that they were. But here we go. So this is how when they came upon the accident, this is how the cars were laid up. Let's see we have. Okay, I guess pretty much the same thing. So they redacted all the names of those people. Vehicle analysis, car, SUV, or truck. This is a 2023 Dodge Charger green. They don't have any information on that one because they said he fled the scene. Vehicle number 2. That's the white car, the cadenza. That's the vehicle that's the car that left the southbound lane into the northbound lane, or the other way around. Child, they done got her tread depth. She was seated, front left. See, I don't know what all this means, but you see it. Vehicle 3. And these are the statements that they have redacted a lot of this. Let me see. This is a new statement. We haven't read this one. I'm traveling north on Highway 20, going 40 miles per hour behind a pickup truck when they slammed on brakes, swerving to the right. There's a green Dodge Charger in my lane coming at me. I take a left turn, trying to get out of the way. There was a van coming and crashed into me. The Dodge Charger was going fast enough to run me off the road, which is why I turned left to get out of the way. So this is the statement from vehicle 2. Highway 20, green Charger coming head on, passing multiple cars, coming head on. I had slammed on brakes to avoid accident. I had to veer off the road to avoid getting hit. Then I stopped to check on the cars behind me in wreck. I was traveling north. The Charger was traveling south in the wrong lane. And I think we read this one. Yeah, we read this one. So we won't go back. I'm just going to try to read the ones we haven't read. Okay, I don't think we read this one. On December 17th, my husband and I were in an accident on Highway 20 in Chalk Bay. All I remember is a white Kia coming straight at my car. My husband was strapped in the passenger seat and kept asking me what happened. I told him we were in a head-on collision and to stay still. So this is the information from the couple that was in vehicle 3. And remember, he died at the hospital. Here's another vehicle statement. I don't recall the exact location as I don't know what that says. However, I do remember that the accident took place in Chalk Bay, Louisiana. I was en route to deliver a load to Bussard out. Okay, so this is going to be from the truck driver. I noticed the traffic was getting congested and dropped speed. While scanning my mirrors, I noticed a green line Dodge Charger speeding up from behind in the oncoming lane. I looked to see it was a passing lane and realized it wasn't. And so basically what he's saying is he looked at center lines to see if there was any breaks in that center line, and he said it wasn't. When I saw the Charger was passing illegally, I also noticed that oncoming traffic was getting closer. I proceeded to slow down and started taking precautions. The Charger passed, I would say, at least 5 to 8 vehicles before cutting into traffic at a high rate of speed. I was only doing 30 to 35 miles per hour due to traffic and speed limit. The Charger was doing well over 80 miles per hour. In the midst of the Charger attempting to pass vehicles, the oncoming traffic was led by a gold Ford truck. The Ford truck jammed on brakes. The vehicle behind the truck swerved onto oncoming traffic. When the Charger cut into traffic, cutting 2 vehicles off in front of me, the third vehicle that was in front of me before the Charger cut into traffic collided with the vehicle that swerved out of the oncoming traffic. Upon the collision, vehicles started to go around the collision. The Charger went around and sped off, continuing down the highway towards Broussard. And so this is the trooper that was on 1217. Trooper whoever investigated a fatal crash on LA 20 near Perez Lane in Lafourche Parish. So whoever that was removed vehicle 2's EDR on January 3rd, and it was transported to Troop C for download and analysis. Vehicle 2 is a 2017 Kia Cadenza. They give the VIN number. The airbag was deployed as a result of the crash. I, Sergeant Blank, was tasked with downloading the EDR, analyzing the vehicle 2's speed from the downloaded data, converting kilometer per hour to mile per hour, calculating vehicle two's distance from point of impact to the 40 miles per hour speed limit sign and the 55 mile speed per hour zone. These are the results. And let's see. This is the information that was given that the lawyer for Kyren Lacey gave. And so here's what he was talking about down here at the bottom. That she had been traveling at 49.7 miles per hour until the crash. And when she hit the car, she was traveling at 39 miles, 0.76 per hour, which is indicated when the brakes were pressed. So it goes into all of that. I'm not going to read it. Again, you could find all this information on the Louisiana State Police website. And that's it. That is the whole kit and caboodle. I don't think we have, or they have, got some other stuff that we can update, we can analyze. I don't read that. And so I'll just share this. This is where the information comes from. And here they have like the gas station camera information, gas station camera 1, gas station camera 2, gas station camera 3. They also have the crash report and then the crash report supplemental, the arrest warrant. Let's see what this supplemental report is. Okay, so they talk about where the following list consists of location where video evidence was collected. The Owl Lady, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 places where they received video evidence to assess this crash. We're just going to peruse it. I'm going to peruse it real quick because it sounds like basically what was in the report. It's just condensed in this report. Yes, that's basically what it is. All right, y'all. This was a lot. Now, also what interests me before I go ahead and we just kind of wrap this up was that there was a lot of online stuff going on. And I would say that that is pretty much par for the course because anytime anything happens, anytime any kind of news or any kind of thing happens, people will put their 2 to 3 cents in. It is unfortunate that he read all of that stuff and decided that he wanted to prune himself from the timeline. So what do y'all think? Honestly, what do y'all think? Do you think the information given absolves him of this crash? Or does this information leads to more questions? The one question that I have is why was refused placed on that statement? That's interesting to know. That's interesting to know. So, you know, it's not refuted that he did cross the center lane and he was driving on the wrong side of the road, the passing lane. He was in a no passing lane and he did pass about 4 cars. That's undisputed. We do see the video where the accident occurred a good time ahead of where he was. Now, at the rate, because he was still in the wrong lane when he went through, when he passed this Chevron station. So right in the middle of this Chevron station footage, you see him go back into his right lane. He's putting on brakes. However, the crash had pretty much already happened. And then he did go around the crash. So like I said, there's not going to be more questions. I think maybe a citation was warranted for him, but reckless driving and causation for driver 2. Well, what's interesting about driver 2, in one of her statements, she talked about she wasn't speeding because she was the way that she was going, she still had a 55 mile per hour speed limit. The thing that interested me about her was the fact that she was eating and wiggling with her music. So I don't think that she was paying attention, that she didn't pay attention or have enough reaction time, that when she looked up, she saw that the gold truck was ahead of her. So she was not trying to hit the gold truck. And so she decided to veer to the left, but the left was ongoing traffic. Now, I can't tell because, again, the gold truck went on about his business because he had places to be. But I can't tell if she could have veered off into the right lane, because I couldn't tell if they were near where that car wash was. Hold on, y'all. Here's what I'm looking for. Let me get down. All right. See where she was coming from? I couldn't tell whether or not that she could have veered off right here. I can't tell if this, because they just say Tasty Creams. I can't. Yes, I can. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so here is where she went left. She did have the opportunity to go right, but then again, I don't know where the truck was, because they're saying that she had the opportunity to go right. I can't tell if that's a big enough ditch, if how low that ditch goes, but she would have popped up by the car wash. But also, I can't tell where the gold car would have been. I don't know if it had been somewhere up in here, but she did have a possibility to go right. So if she went left, I'm just going to make the assumption that the gold truck was somewhere right around in here. But whatever it was, they're saying that when Lacey was coming from this direction right here, that he was coming around here, he went around all of this and then kept going. You see what I'm saying? He was able to get around this way and kept going. So the gold car was there at that time. If Kyren stopped between the other vehicles, she would have never thought to mention the green Charger. I think she harped on that because he did drive through this. Yeah, and didn't stop. Yeah. So like I said, I don't know where the gold car was been, but wherever the gold car was, the gold car was there when Kyren came around this corner and hit him. So a mess. A mess. I hate to hear that young man took his life. I hate to hear that the gentleman in the Kia Sorrento, I think it was. I hate to hear that he lost his life. I hate all of that. I hate that these people got hurt. But again, this is why it's important. These investigate the information and make sure you get all the factual information. I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going to happen in regards to what the guy in the gold truck said. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anybody is going to be reprimanded or anything like that. I am not sure. I am interested. What does refused mean? And no one has said, and I would love a copy of the prosecution report. But the Louisiana State Police wouldn't have a copy of that. I definitely would love a copy of that report to see, but I doubt that we'll ever see that. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.